What emotion rises in you when you see young refugees struggling to learn, adapt a dream while carrying heavy trauma? Like people living in this kind of condition, battling with trauma, depression, mourning their young ones, mourning their loved ones, but still trying to adapt the system of German or in Italy or across Europe, and also to survive, integrate learning language and trying to know the society. What do you feel?
Well, it's very sad. It's also frustrating in a way, because, like you mentioned, I've tried to support people. I've tried to help people along the way, but often we face so many legal barriers, structural barriers. The whole system is built in a way that is not supportive for these conditions. There's also a huge lack of understanding the situations that we are speaking about now. The majority of the population of policymakers,
Yeah,
they don't even have an understanding of these situations, and their priorities are very different.
yeah,
So yeah, it's quite frustrating to know what should be done, but to not have the possibility to really make a major impact. Um, I want to come back to the term of integration that you mentioned. Um, I don't really like to speak about integration, because I think when we mention integration, we have to ask, what do we actually mean? Integration into what?
yeah,
Um, we live in a globalized world, you see, where societies are in a way recreated constantly. Just like a person is in a constant process of development.
yeah,
The same way societies are constantly developing. But if we say integration, then it implies
yeah,
integrating into something that is stable,
yeah.
which is not the case. So we can rather ask, how how is migration changing societies, but not so much how are people integrating.
So, I see, because I think, because the reason why I feel like asking those questions is that um mostly here in Germany and inside of this Germany, mostly here in Bavaria, you see people carrying trauma, like they are, in short, let me just put it this way, people are wearing trauma like they were wearing trousers or they were wearing perfume. You see, when there are some set of refugees that will pass you, you will smell the trauma. You don't, it's quite obvious because the type of the stinking trauma that smells alongside with so many of us is so loud. And the problem is the system ignored this trauma. Instead of helping people to tackle this set of trauma, they decided to, to elaborate it in a large form to swallow so many of us. So, and I don't know, and it's something very depressing and something very, very saddening, to the extent that when many refugees start testifying their eyewitnesses and their circumstances in Azuhan, it sounds like fiction and it sounds like they are exaggerating. Many people who lives outside the camp doesn't know about it, and this also makes me wonder and also wants me to ask you a certain kind of question, because I was one of those people that was taken down so many times through this trauma and depression, through build an asylum house, but somehow I found my face and I found myself back through cultural performance and despite language barriers. But I found myself in those things. And the next question is going to be, how did culture, you see culture as a weapon of hope. In your encounter with refugee, how have you seen culture, music, language, tradition have become a form of strength to them?
Yeah, but I think just to connect what you mentioned earlier, I think it's really a major problem that there's a huge lack of treatment for trauma. As you said, many people are affected, and there's not really a way for them to manage this. There's as long as people are living in reception centers, and even after that, they mostly don't have the opportunity to receive proper treatment. Of course, there are ways that somebody can also work on this issue by themselves. We discussed before, but there are different degrees of trauma, and I believe that the trauma that people who traveled through the desert and across the Mediterranean Sea went through, it really deserves a professional treatment to be fully dissolved. And this is not available to many people in this situation. And then what we often find, what is really sad to witness, is that, of course, people try to find strategies to deal with it. And very unfortunately, often this is alcohol, drugs, and even social media. Social media is also a way to numb the pain, to numb feelings if there's no other opportunity. So this is something that we have to acknowledge, and something that we really have to identify a need for action in the system. Then, of course, in the most extreme cases, we see violence as some means to
let out the trauma.
And then unfortunately, the media doesn't acknowledge this. They rather turn the narrative around to argue against migration. But I haven't seen any media reportage that acknowledges the need for treatment for trauma. So this is a huge lack in the system. And to come back to your question about culture, artistic means, it's very impressive what you are doing, and you're seeing this is a way for you to deal with your own situation, with your own experiences. And I think it's a great way to do this. The music that you're doing, the writing, the artistic, the theater play, it's very impressive. It's not only sharing your story with the world, raising awareness, but it's also a way to deal with your own experiences. So this is the opposite of the negative means to deal with it that we just mentioned. It's very important. You're sharing your story, and you're encouraging also others to speak about their experiences. I've seen several occasions where you have encouraged others. It's not always easy to encourage them and to keep them on board, but you have managed to do so, and it's really a very good strategy to deal with trauma and to raise awareness of the experiences that many refugees face.